All right, so before we do vertex form, I want to quickly write down the other form so you know when you hear standard form, you know what it is, versus when you hear vertex form, you know what it is. All right, standard form, please stop, is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Ax squared plus bx plus c. A restriction or something you need to know that a can never equal 0. Did I say anything about b or c not being able to be 0? No. That means b can be 0, c can be 0, but a can never be 0. Why is that? What happens if a is 0? What happens to your x squared? It's gone. And if I cover that, is this still a quadratic? Now, what makes it a quadratic? That it has a degree of 2. And if I get rid of the x squared, it's no longer quadratic. So do you see why a cannot equal 0? All right. Vertex form. Yes. A quantity x minus h squared plus k. All right, y equals x minus the quantity of h squared plus k. This is what you just spent all that time doing. Was yes. Yeah. All right. So what did you learn about this? In the parentheses, you learned in the activity that it shifts you in which directions? Right, left? Which one is the up, down? The outside. And the outside's pretty straightforward. If it's plus, it's up. If it's minus, it is down. And the inside was the one that did what?
Plus went left.
The plus went left and the minus moved right. Okay, so it was opposite, correct? It moved in the opposite direction. All right, so we're going to write down here. V, I'm just going to use the word V. What does the word V stand for as an ordered pair? Anyone? Vertex. So when I write V parentheses, that means the vertex is H comma K. Opposite of the inside, outside stays the same. Now, why the opposite of the inside? Because that's what you guys were talking about. One of you just said it right now. Minus is right and plus is left. So opposite, same. Got it? All right. We learned yesterday that if A is positive versus if A is negative, what happens? Who remembers how it changed the graph? Anyone? The way it's flipped. Good. Positive opens in which direction? Up. I heard somebody say up. And the negative is open in which direction? Down. Okay. So remembering that A is the leading coefficient in both cases. Can you see that? A is here in front of the x squared, and A is in front of the parentheses there. Okay, so when A is positive, you said it is opening upwards, and when it's negative, it's opening downward. We talked about max and mins on Tuesday. We said all parabolas that open upward have a maximum or minimum. All parabolas that open upward have a highest point or a lowest point. A lowest, a minimum, and all parabolas that open down have a maximum. Can a parabola ever have both a max and a min? No. All right. The one thing we did not talk about yesterday is the value of A, the value of the absolute value of A. It's going to either equal 1, greater than 1, or less than 1. Equal to 1, greater than 1, or less than 1. Now, notice I put what around the A? Not parentheses. What are those called? Absolute value. Absolute value always makes any number what?
Absolute opposite?
Not opposites, positive. We have to be careful because if it's positive, it stays positive. Why do we take absolute value? Because the only thing the negative tells me is that the parabola is opening downward. Cover the negative after that, and it's going to tell you how wide, thin, or normal the graph is. We'll see some examples. All right, equals 1, we're going to call that the normal. Parentheses, parent function. You're going to learn more about parent functions next year. Or did you talk about parent functions last year?
No.
Talking about child functions.
Child functions.
This is going on YouTube.
All right, guys, A is greater than 1. Now, it's opposite of what you would think. You would think bigger than 1 would make your graph wider, but it actually does what?
Smaller.
It makes it smaller. I'm going to put the word thin. Okay, so because I said it's opposite, less than 1, you think it'd get thinner, but it really does what? It gets wider. And we'll talk,
Oh my God.
guys, we'll talk as we do more examples about what this whole wide, thin, normal means. Please, gentlemen, please.
Oh.
All right. Shh. Wide, thin, normal. All right, I really want to talk about this because people struggle here. Absolute value, you guys just told me, is what? Always positive. What are positive numbers that are smaller than 1? Can anyone give me an example?
-5.
Well, I heard 0 first, and I heard -5. Okay, it has to be positive. And what did we already say about A? Can't be 0. Okay. A positive number, can't be 0, that's smaller than 1. 0.5. I'm going to write that as 1/2. Or 0.5, it doesn't matter. Anyone else? 3/4? One more fraction. Anyone can give me that smaller? What is it? A quarter? 1/4? All right, 1/3, 1/5. Would any of those work? 2/3? Yes. You just want to be careful and make sure that, like, if you put 3/2, that's not smaller than 1. You want to make sure that your fraction is smaller than 1. All right, so we're looking when our leading coefficient is 1/2 or even -1/2 because you take the absolute value. Got it? All right. Questions? Okay, we're going to see if we can use all the stuff you learned on the activity that you just did to graph and answer some questions. Y equals parentheses x plus 2 close parentheses squared minus 3. Okay, before you start to graph, I'm going to make a list over here. Vertex, domain, did we talk about domain on Tuesday? Range. Before we go on, domain is a set of all what values? X, and range is a set of all Y values. And this is review from last year. All right, something new we're adding, wide, thin, normal. You're going to circle one of those. Min occurs when x equals blank, minimum value is blank. All right, so there's some of this stuff that you did not do in the activity that we're definitely going to talk about. Are you guys ready? Okay. Now, you just learned it, and I talked about it here as well. What is the vertex for this problem? What did I say? Listen to it again. What did I say earlier? Opposite of the inside, outside stays the same. Say it with me. Opposite of the
Inside.
outside.
Stays the same.
Okay. So what is my vertex? -2, comma, -3. All right. Now, if I covered that vertex and just asked you guys to graph this, what would you say about this shift? Is this the right-left shift or the up-down shift? The right-left? And you guys already told me it's opposite, right? So what is +2? Which direction is it going to shift me?
Left.
Left 2. Do you guys all agree? And the number on the outside shifts me in which direction?
Downward.
In this case, -3 is going to go,
Upward.
no, you were right, down.
Downward.
Okay, so left 2, down 1, 2, and 3. And when I get that point there, is it the -2, -3? Yes. Do you guys see how that works? Opposite of the inside, outside stays the same. And if you look at this and use what you just learned, right, left shift in opposite direction, up, down shift as it is. All right, is this parabola opening up or down if this is positive? Positive, we talked about opening in which direction? Up. Okay, the leading coefficient here, you can't see it, which means it is 1. And what did we say about 1? Normal. All right. Now, when you get next year, you're going to do more of like x-intercepts and y-intercepts to help. Actually, we're actually going to do it this year as well to help you graph. But right now, we're just going to make one opening up as normal width as you can. Now, I'm not going to look at it and be like, ooh, that doesn't look normal enough. Where am I going to check? Right here. What would you circle? Normal. So I know that's your normal. And I know when you circle wide, whatever graph you drew is your wide. Does that make sense? Yes? All right. Yes, and this is faster. Do you guys agree? Rather than making that T-chart and doing all that work, this goes a lot quicker. Okay, domain. What did we learn about domain?
All real numbers.
All real numbers unless it's graphed for us, and we'll see those later on. Okay, range. We talked about range as well. Does this graph go up forever or down forever? Up. What letter do I always use for range? So would I say greater than equal to or less than equal to? And what y value is this? Negative 3. And what did we say? It's always going to match the y value of the vertex, right? Okay. Any questions? Okay. Minimum occurs when? Okay. Do you agree first off that this is the minimum right here, which was our vertex? Now it tells you right there what letter to use. The minimum occurs when x is what? Negative 2. The minimum value is? Negative 3. Now it doesn't say the y value here. You do need to know it's the y value. Even if they don't ask this, if they ever ask you the minimum value is, they're asking for the y value of your vertex. Or maximum value is the y value of your vertex. But this one kind of gives you a hint because they ask for x first. Any questions? Okay, there's one last piece I want to go over then. When is the graph increasing? And when is it decreasing?
4, 2, 3, after 2, 3.
Okay, we're running out of time, so we're going to talk about this quickly. Everybody needs to be listening. All right, so first off, we talked about this line yesterday. What was this line called? Or Tuesday? Good job. Also known as the axis of symmetry. All right. Now we're drawing it by hand, but when you were doing it on your laptops, do you agree it was symmetrical? Like that is a mirror image of that? Yes. Yes. Okay. So we talked about symmetry. So I'm going to look at this half here. Imagine you're walking from left to right on a hill. Would this be a walk uphill or downhill?
Downhill.
Down, and this would be a walk
Uphill.
up. Do you see that? Yeah. So this would be what? Decreasing, and this would be increasing. You guys are not packing up. We still have another minute. Okay. Increasing is the right half or the left half?
Right.
This is the increasing. And it increases. You always use x, not y. You only use y for the range. So when x is bigger than what's our x value here? X is greater than negative 2. That means everything to the right of negative 2, my graph is always going to be increasing. Do you guys agree with that?
I agree.
Okay. When is it decreasing? On the left. So we would say x is greater than negative 2 or less than? Less than negative 2, because everywhere to the left it is going downhill. Do you see that? All right. Questions?
You